behind your desk and think about plastic or materials, but sometimes you just have to do it, and you have to see what is the real problem, how does it work, what is plastic, what can you do with it. And there was this is the beginning of the story of Pretty Plastic. There was a group of people in the north of Amsterdam, which is now a completely trendy neighborhood, but 10 years ago, nobody wanted to live there. And they started to collect household plastic from households, plastic from households, just waste, daily waste. And they said to us, now we collected all this plastic because we wanted to do something good, but what to do with it actually? So they had containers full with plastic. And we said, okay, give it to us. And we rented this nice space. And here you see me and an intern with all the plastic. And then we thought, okay, we have to work with students because they like it. And we did a student project with the university and also with teenagers. And we opened all those bags of plastics. Now, well, you can imagine a can of yogurt there for 3 weeks. The yogurt is not white, it's green, it's dirty. You see it here on the face. So it's really nice work what we do. But we didn't know anything about plastic. But maybe you know, in the household plastic, there is always this triangle, and it has a code. And this code says what kind of plastic it is. And it said it has 7 different numbers. Actually, number 7 is all the others. So and there are like 4,000 something others. So it's really, this is only for the daily plastic you use for the house, what you buy in the supermarket. But we didn't know, right? So we just started from scratch. But what we found out very soon was that actually, if you clean this waste, what we call waste, it's not waste. If you have this raw material, if you clean it and you collect it, you sort it in color, and you shred it, it's actually a really nice material you have again. And this is what we throw away every day. So we thought, okay, we have to make machines for this. But then we thought, no, we're not going to make our own machines. We are smart. These machines, they exist. So we go to the plastic industry and we say, we have a good idea. We have a lot of plastic and we want to sort it in color and then we want to shred it. And they said, well, they didn't answer on our emails. They didn't pick up the phone. Nothing happened, right? So we thought, okay, we just do it our own way. We make our own machines. So then we got some friends and we started with machines and interns and students. And we had this nice shelf, you see, with all the types of plastics and all the colors. And we just started to, and we built our masterpiece, our own injection molding machine. And then we thought it had to have a fancy color. And then we had our own machinery. So collecting, sorting, washing, sorting on color, shredding, and then the molding. And here you see us, every mold, it's like opening. When you open the mold, it's like when you bake pancakes, the first one is never good. And then at some point, they're all a bit different. And it's always nice. This one is a nice one. And then we had this first little ball from recycled plastic. And what is interesting, it's a very small project, of course, and it didn't have any impact in the amount of plastic. But we always had this idea, what if we make facade material or something which has a huge impact? Building industry is 40% of our CO2 emission worldwide. So what if we change this and if we use plastic and use it as facade material, then we can work in quantities. But okay, if you want to change something, sometimes you have to start small, right? So, this was the first wall, and what we learned from this is that people said to us, what kind of material is this? They didn't know because where even people said, is it marble? And then I think, okay, your idea of material is maybe not so good, but it felt like a compliment, right? And what we did is you have when you do injection molding, you have the nozzle, so it's where it injects into the mold, right? So you have glasses, they're injection molded, and there is a little point where it's injection molded on the nozzle, and then normally we make it only 0.1 millimeter big because nobody wants to see it. But if you work with recycled material, there can be some dust in it. So it can't go through this nozzle. So we said, why not make it just 8 millimeters like this, huh? And you see it. And then you get a completely different result. So it's also, you change the aesthetic of the plastic. And what if every tile has not 0.1 millimeter margin, but maybe 1 or 2 millimeters? If it's a bit moving, is that bad? Not for facade material. It's not, doesn't matter. Maybe it's even nice if you do production technique that every tile is a bit different. So this is all recycled plastic, except the girl and the light bulb, but also the rest of the plastic you see is from Govaplast. You can buy it. Maybe it's even here. I don't know. It's HDPE plastic. And then we did workshop with children, and here's the Dutch minister coming. We had a big event, and we had 1,000 school children visiting us, and it was really nice to do it. And then we showed the machine on the Dutch Design Week, and this is our Princess Maxima, Queen Maxima, I have to say now, Queen Maxima, and she was really impressed. And we said, yeah, we're gonna change the world. We want to make all the facades from recycled plastic. And then Dutch Design Week said to us, okay, prove us. Can you make a building next year with all those plastic tiles? And we said, yes, of course we can. Well, no idea how, but okay. We still had 1 year, right? So we thought we can do it. And then our next adventure started. It's called People's Pavilion. So far, this is all not a project, not a company yet. It's a project, right? As designers, just a side project. We did many projects, and this was just one of our projects. And then we went to the Belgian company Govaplast, and we said, okay, I was emailing again all those companies, but the plastic industry, sorry, is very closed. It's really hard. They never pick up the phone because there are many people with ideas, and you don't know. It's not so transparent. Who is doing what? Which company is doing what part in the chain? It's not clear. So you really have to find out yourself, and it's not so easy. And it's also, they protect themselves. So it's very closed. Still, after years now, I think it's like that. I know the reasons now, but okay, we can tell you later. Then this company Govaplast said, okay, you guys, you understand what plastic is, because we showed it, we proved it. Small, but yes, we said this is injection molding, this is what we want, etc., etc. So okay, listen, maybe we can help you out, and we came with an order. We said we want 10,000 tiles for you next year. They said, okay, let's go for it. And then the next the adventure of People's Pavilion started. This is a bit of a sidestep, but it's just nice to tell, and it's also, again, the way how we work as designers. So this is, again, maybe a bit less pretty plastic, a bit more overtraders, doesn't matter. Later on, there's a lot of pretty plastic. This is the square of the Dutch Design Week, and they asked us to make a pavilion here for 600 people standing in the pavilion, 200 people sitting in. Quite a big pavilion for a temporary pavilion. And we said, why should you do it? I mean, there's so many nice abandoned Philips buildings in Eindhoven. Take one of those buildings. Why do you want a new building for only 9 days? It's ridiculous. But yeah, they really insist. So yeah, then we are architects. And we say, okay, let's make something. But if you make something for 9 days, we didn't want to make anyways. So what we decided is what we did before, to borrow everything. So we made a list of materials we wanted to borrow, and then we had this idea to borrow it, and then to make a pavilion and to give it all back. And this is the image we had in our mind. It's a Lustron house from the 50s, where you see all the materials on a square, and then we thought, okay, we place all the materials on the square, and then we build it, and then we disassemble after 9 days, and then we make the same picture again. Again, when I borrow something from you, I can't demolish it. I have to maintain it. I have to give it back the way I got it, right? So this is the life cycle of material. It's there and then it's dead at some point. And we thought we'd just take it off the shelf for 1 week. We just borrow your material and we give it back. That means no screwing, no gluing, no sewing, no whatsoever. So you have to think about different techniques, how to combine this material. And think again, this is still one of the fundamentals of pretty plastic. So everything we do now is we make our facades in a way that they can always be disassembled. You can always take away a part of take apart the facade or the cladding, and give it back to the pretty plastic company. So it's still in our DNA, you can say. But we started with wood, and we wanted to strap a lot of wood, and we had this idea: what if we strap it all together like this, and then strap it, and then at some point you have a pavilion. And we thought, okay, what if we use the raw wood? It's not too bad if there's a little scratch in it, but because of the straps, maybe there might be a little scratch, but no problem if it's raw wood. Again, we have the foundation pilers. It's very Dutch. All the soil. We live in a swamp, so every house has foundation like this. The nets for the concrete, etc. And then we started to borrow all the materials. And this was our first session where we wanted to borrow everything. And we thought this is the hardest part, to borrow from all those different companies. But actually, this was one session, and after the session, we had everything. So because we invited all the directors of the big companies, building industry, and they all said, yes, let's go for it. So this was amazing. So sometimes the what you think is the difficult part is not the difficult part. Afterwards, the difficult part started, because then we assembled all those beams with small beams and strapped it together. We went to the technical university to squeeze it together and see, is it strong enough? And then the technical engineers of Arab, it's one of the biggest engineering companies in the world, maybe the biggest. I think they have 20,000 people working there. They helped us out, and they were engineering day and night, because for them it was also very complex, because it's a completely different way of combining materials. And we collected, of course, the plastic from all the household plastic, with lots of volunteers in Eindhoven. All the plastic collected, sorted on color, sorted on type of plastic, etc., etc. It was really a lot of work. This was the first bottle. And then we had the Govaplast company producing our first tiles of this recycled plastic. And here you see the exploded view pavilion, and then we start building. And this is only built, as I say, for 9 days, and you always have to have fun. So we made some nice cake. So everybody, all the workers, they thought, okay, this is going to be nice, because it's also new for those people. So it's not new for, everything is new. It's also a new way of strapping. It's not, nobody, they had a saw in their van. I said, you can leave the saw home because everything fits. We don't need a saw. So everything also everything is new for everybody. And then we started to assemble the whole building. And then last but not least, 10,000 plastic tiles attached on the facade. But because of budget reasons, we cut out all the people. So we had to do it ourselves with our friends. So that was nice. We had this Facebook event. We said, help us. And then a lot of people helped. So that's nice. And we did it in a couple of days with a big team of volunteers. And yeah, this is what we made, People's Pavilion. It's 100%. I forgot to tell you. We borrowed all the material, but what we did also borrow, that's maybe you saw it, I told you, but we borrowed your waste, not your waste, but the waste from the inhabitants of Eindhoven. And we gave the tile back we gave back their waste as a tile to show them this is the beauty, what you throw away every day. So it's 100% sustainable building. It's closed loop. Everything goes back, and we made 10,000 of those. We think beautiful tiles. And actually, here the whole story starts, because this part was my profession as an architectural designer, and now the Pretty Plastic company started.
Which year was that?
This year, it's good. This was 2017. Yeah. Almost. Oh, yeah. Yeah, 6 years ago. And this is the photo we made at the end. This is what we wanted. All the materials. It's me, Hester, and Peter on the square with the materials after the exhibition, after this 9 days event. with all the big bags with plastic tiles. They had to go back to all the people who helped us collecting the waste. Ah, yeah, sorry, this is a Dutch one. But yeah, so this is how it looked like. And what you see is when you close up, every tile is a bit different. And then what happened? We won a lot of prizes. That's nice as an architect and as a designer. It's nice to win prizes and get rewarded for your work. But what also happened is that lots of architects came to us. Where can I buy these tiles? And we said, yeah, good question. Where can you, how to do this? Yeah? And we had really 1,000 square meters of requests from architects. And what we knew already is what is plastic? It's made out of oil, and oil burns. That's the biggest problem. So you can't make facade material out of recycled plastic because it burns. So we did fire certification, because we thought if we want to continue with this, we have to make it fire resistant. We have to deal with the highest fire safety standards, etc. So this is the first thing we did, and then of course plastic burns. We knew this also already for the pavilion, but we were naive and we thought we can make it in such a way, add things to make it fire resistant, and you can make it fire resistant. But then you have to add really bad stuff. And it's forbidden by the EU in a couple of years and things like that. And then it's not so easy. So we did with the DSM. I go back there. Yeah, with the DSM company. It's one of the biggest chemical industry in the Netherlands. They have a big laboratory, and they worked for 1 year on making the HDPE and the PP. That's what we used for the pavilion. The HDPE and PP plastic fire retardant. So they added minerals, etc., etc. At the end, we had a recipe. And then they said, yeah, you have to add 40% of minerals. And they are from whatever country, I can't remember. And then we thought, this is not the story we wanted. We don't want to add a little bad stuff, but we also don't want to add 40% of minerals. How to solve it? And then somebody of the Grootplast company said, what if you make it out of PVC? And then I thought, out of PVC? Are you crazy? PVC is the worst material on earth. Yeah, sorry. We should stop producing PVC. And it has, if you Google on the Greenpeace, etc., they said PVC has to be banned, etc. We thought, okay, let's dive deeper into this, right? Because PVC window frames, for example, they have already the fire retardant in it. And the electrical tubes as well. So that's one of the things. And there is also not a problem of microplastics with PVC, because rain gutters, they have the water all day through this rain gutters, and it's going well. So it's actually a really bad material, but it's also on the other side a very good material because it lasts forever. It's fire retardant. It's very good to recycle. You can recycle it 7 times without losing quality, if you do it well. Compared to PET, for example, it's way more difficult to recycle. Then it always downcycles. They make fleece jackets, and you put it in your washing machine, and then the little microplastics go to the ocean, etc. So we thought, okay, what do we do now? We have a lot of plastic waste on this planet, and what is happening now with this PVC? And we found out what we do, we put it under the highway as a foundation of the highway, together with all the concrete of the demolished buildings. It's crazy, right? Because we are not allowed to burn it. It's too dangerous. And then we just shred it together with the concrete and we put it under the highway. We thought, okay, we can do better, right? So what if we make 100% PVC into cladding material? Then we have a good story, because it's 100% building waste, post-consumer, so when it's used, 100% waste into 100% new building material. And then we have a closed loop. So this is how we started. And it's nice. This is 3XN in Aarhus. It's in Denmark. They made another pavilion with our tiles for the circular, I forgot how it's called, circular week. Yeah. And we did more research on plastic. Peter and I went to all the scrap heaps and do research on PVC and all kinds of other materials. And then we found this granulate. and it's all rain gutters, window frames, etc. And we decided to make tiles out of this, 100% waste. And then we had a good news because we had a fire certification B, which is A is the highest, but B in the Netherlands you can place B on any building as high as you want. So we managed, and we thought, okay, then we have a company. So we went to Govaplast and we said we need new machines, and at some point we moved to another factory, and then we bought these machines, and we had our own first building. It's this small building here, what you see here. It's a near school, and this is very nice because this school is a very small pavilion in the garden of the school, where they get music lessons. They teach music, and they waited for 3 years for us, or 2 years. So the building was there with all the wood, waiting for our tiles. And they said, yeah, sorry, it's taking longer, we need more tests, blah, blah, blah. And they said, no problem, take your time, we wait. We trust you, we go for it, we wait. So they waited for 2 or 3 years. And then they were the first one with our tiles for a permanent building. And what happened then, we published this on the Zine website. Maybe some of you know the Zine. It's these are the tiles we make now. Yeah, you see here, it's maybe nice to tell. It's cut, but this is still the injection molding, right? You see how big it is. Normally it's very thin. Here it's just very fat. Yeah. Okay. And we were published on the Zine, which is the biggest architecture and design website. I think they have 50 million unique visitors every year, so it's huge. And all architects, they watch the Zine. And we were published there, and that's nice. But then what happened? We had in 1 month for 4 million, or I don't remember, 6 million euros on quotes. And we thought, oh my God, what to do with this? Now we really have to take it serious. And now we really have to start a company. And then we started the company, Pretty Plastic, building from waste. And we made a website because that's what you need as a company, right? And we had a product. And then we first made only gray because we couldn't sort on color, because we have this big bunch we buy, and you have to always need an average in quality. So it's one gray. We can make a bit darker, a bit less gray, a bit more gray, darker and not lighter, but only darker. That was first. And then we went live. Actually, we went really live. This Global Citizen Live with Ursula von der Leyen at the EU. And we managed to put our tiles there on the back, as you see. And we had our first projects, and architects came to us. And first, of course, small projects, because the small projects, they go the fastest, like little houses and so things like that. We didn't think of that when we started this company, that big projects. We know this as architects. They take a long time. In the Netherlands, the average house is already 7 years from the idea till it's finished, right? And the last thing you do is mounting the facade. So architects ask for a quote, and they need it in 5 years, or maybe 7 years, or 10 years. Huh? So that's you need extra money. You need 7 years of money to invest in this, because yes, we got a lot of quotes, but before you really sell it, it's a long way. But yeah, smaller projects we had, and we decided to call our tile the first one, because this was our first tile. And we made it in several colors, and this is our color range we have. So what we do add, this is the only thing we do add, we add 1% of colorant to the material if you don't want to have a gray tile. And it's never exactly this color, because every bunch of plastic we buy is always a bit different in color. It's not exactly the same gray with the same amount of colorant. It's always a bit moving. So we tell them, every architect we tell, what you buy is roughly this, but it can change. So we are so used that if you order something that it's exactly the way it is on the picture, but it's not, because it's recycled material. We have to deal with it. So also we as clients and have to rethink our wishes and to look at a different way. So yeah, you can choose your color, but you can choose in a range. And we made a color palette, and we found out it works better if you combine the color palettes, and then because if a tile has, if you have two gray tiles and they're supposed to be the same, sometimes they're not the same, right? And you see it in the pattern. So we make color palettes, color patterns, and we receive lots of nice renderings from architects. This is somewhere on the UK coastal center. Very nice. It's built now. Building in UK goes really slow, but the tiles are there. Yeah, this is a bigger building in the Netherlands. It's still waiting because of somebody. There's a permit problem with parking. Yeah, we can't sell our tiles because there's a problem with parking permits. I don't know. That's the way it goes, right? So it's the permits before it's there. But okay, this is built next year if the permit is finished. And this is a swimming pool in the south of the Netherlands, 3,000 square meters, I think. Well, I was in the newspaper, so then they have to do it now, right? So it's in Eindhoven. It's the Olympic swimming pool in the Netherlands, and yeah, so this is going to be built next year as well. And we have, this is realized, we have smaller projects. We continued with our smaller projects, housing, some interiors, and things like that. And this is actually the first year we really get the big projects done. Because we started 2020 and now we are 2023, 3 years later. So we did many small projects last 3 years. And this year is the bigger project. So this is realized. I still don't have good pictures. The opening was last week. It's an ambulance building with 1,000 square meters of pretty plastic. I think it's really nice. And it's also always very nice to make the colors together with the architects. So you said, yeah, we have this brick. So for bigger projects, we try to, when the project is really big, we help with the color. We can adjust the color a bit. And this is a high school, a university in Belgium, Brugge. And that's been built now, as you can see. I don't remember how many thousand square meters, but lots. And this is not a render. This is an image of what is built there right now. So now the big projects are coming, and also the famous architects. This is a render of MVRDV, and it will be realized next year in Munich. I think it looks really great, and it's not only the tile; it's also the architecture. And if you start this company, you get lots of things. So we are now with a team of people. We have investors, and now it's very serious actually. So starting small and going through it, and then you need all the things you see here. What is it? Oh yeah, it's the product sheets and the installation manual, things like that. And you need all kinds of certifications. There are so many certifications. We spent lots. I can't tell you how much money we spent on certifications. It's crazy. It's you need life cycle analysis, etc. So it's good. We have a lot of regulations, but for a small company, it's really hard to invest. You have to invest lots of money to go through this. And but we are going through it, and we are now from a startup to the scale-up model. And we have a returning policy. So, of course, end of lifetime, but also if you have waste when you saw the tile, you have to return it to us after when you're finished with your project. And then we are happy that all the trucks with our plastic, they leave the factory. We started also a next product. It's called the second high. We had the first one. It's a second high, and it's now on the market. And it's for this high-rise building in Amsterdam, 70 meter high. And the mold is there. You have to invest in the mold again, so it's a lot of research again, a lot of tests. And the mold is there, and this is the first test we did, and this is the mock-up of the high-rise tile. It's a square tile with you can build prefab at an aluminium system. And you can really easily disassemble and reassemble. It's also easy to mount. Almost finished. And this is the architects making new renderings with a new tile. And then now we thought we are working on a third tile. It's the basic third. And the third tile is about not high rise, but about just for consumer market, and also simple, the easiest and the cheapest tile we can make. And that's the next adventure. So we work on new products, and we want to have a range of products at the end you can order. So that's pretty plastic. That's a story, and it's the start of a story. And I think it will continue for next years, hopefully, for sure. And thank you for listening.
Thank you very much for this good presentation. Nice to see. Normally we can compare plastics and from the PVC industry, so it's nice to hear how great a material that is. Thank you. We have time for a few questions from the audience. Yeah.
Sorry, again.
Roofing.
Yes, on 45 degrees or less. Yeah, otherwise it's so 45 degrees or steeper.
45 degrees. Okay.
Yeah, I think everybody here does that. Yeah.
So what is the lifetime of your product? How many years do you think it will last?
That's a good question. The lifetime of our product. There's a lot to say about this.
Yes.
What is the lifetime of a building? Because we have a LCA, it's a life cycle analysis, and then they say they tested for 70 years. But then we had really bad numbers from this LCA, and we were thinking, why? We are more sustainable than all the other materials. Why is this? And then we found out, for example, the brick lobby, they managed to put the bricks in the LCA for lifetime for 1,000 years. Yeah, the Romans made some buildings from brick, and they last for 1,000 years. But the average building in the Netherlands lasts, not housing, but the average office building, big building, lasts for 30 years, right? So, and then we demolish it. That's in the Netherlands, the average of a lifespan of a building. So yes, I think first, but I think it lasts for about. We give 10-year guarantee, but it will last much longer. Yeah. Way longer than wood, for example. So if you have a wood facade, which is also very sustainable, you have to replace it once, let's say every 20 years. So,
And paint it.
yeah, and paint it or do other things. Yeah.
Will it hold the color, or will it kind of is it vulnerable to UV?
Will it hold the color? We are still testing on this. Actually, we know it does hold. It's changing a bit, but because it's during the life cycle, but it's not too bad because every tile is a bit different, so you won't really recognize. Yeah.
You have a lot of UV degradation. UV, ultraviolet light degradation of the plastics.
No, not. It's the same as a rain gutter, right? It gets sometimes a bit. It can be a bit whitish, grayish. Yeah.
No, I meant like if you're going to put this in countries with high sun activity.
We only tested for EU, but we once exported a bunch to Madagascar, a small island near Madagascar, but they really wanted to have it there. Yeah. Yeah.
So another question: do you find a problem to find the recyclate of wood quality?
The quality of the recyclate.
The quantity and the quality.
It's not so difficult to find the good quality of the recyclate. Interesting is the price. What you see is that sometimes virgin material is cheaper than recycled material. Crazy, but it's true. Yeah.
So it's a company in Netherlands
Yeah.
supplies.
Oh yeah, important. Sorry, I hold it. Yeah, the where we recycle, it's actually 2 kilometers from our factory, because we don't want to have too long transport through the Netherlands. So our production facility is near the recycle company. Yeah, it's called PVC Netherlands.
PVC Netherlands.
Yeah.
Not Van Werven.
Also, we work with Van Werven sometimes. Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. So it's PVC from Europe
Yeah.
that is
Yeah.
collected
Yeah.
by them. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Mainly from the Netherlands and Germany. Yeah.
Interesting.
Just have a final question. How are your architect colleagues taking this product? You know, here in the Nordics, PVC is not so has a good image, but how are your fellow architects taking the product?
Yeah, I think the architects like it because we get a lot of requests, so that's quite good. Everybody is asking very is keen on the sustainability, and they ask a lot about it. But we are honest in it, and we try because it's also very important for us. And I think what we do is we have 100% waste turn into something beautiful. I think all the PVC we produce now, we have to be all the other products we make. We have to think of it's sometimes it's the best solution, PVC. For example, for electrical tube. I mean, what to use else, right? In the past we used metal, for example. It's unsafe, etc. And there's also not good. So it's but we have to think about the closed loops. And actually, all the other plastics like HDPE and PP and the household plastic is actually a much bigger problem, I think, because that goes, often comes in the nature, goes to the ocean, the birds. I think it's less with PVC, but for example, for PVC flooring, a big problem is to disassemble. So the disassembly is I think the biggest issue in the design of how you use PVC, and disassemble, and also to take it back and to get it back in the system to make really close loop. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much for this very good talk.
Okay.
Now we're going to listen to some more. Yeah. Some more wonderful vinyl or PVC. It's the same thing. You can see the floor here is vinyl, this carpet or rock, and we have some pipes and these tiles and gutters, and you can make really many things out of vinyl. It's really a versatile material, as you can make it really soft and really rigid. So we have a big PVC resin plant up in Norway, and they decided to build a cabin in PVC. See how much of it could be made in PVC instead of wood and all these other materials we know. So I haven't really, I don't know so much about it, but we'll hear about the project leader, right?
Yep.
Sebastian Østlie from Oslo, Norway. So yeah, give me a warm welcome. Just gonna
Change the slides, yeah. Thank you very much. As Tobias mentioned, I'm an architect in Oslo, Norway. I work for a company called unveil. We have all sorts of consultants within the built environment, and we were actually approached with this project not as architects to do an architectural job, but as environmental consultants, because Inovyn were very interested in having some kind of certification on a cabin project to show that people have misconceptions about vinyl and that it really can be very sustainable. What we found was that it quickly turned out to be very difficult to have any kind of certification of a vinyl cabin. I mean, it's just the scale of the project is not appropriate for a certification process. And then we thought, okay, well, what's more interesting? What can we do instead? Can we turn this into something that's can perhaps communicate a different image of vinyl-based products, and we can try and make something that's at least as sustainable as a typical Norwegian cabin. And as Tobias has mentioned, in the Nordics, we like our wooden cabin. There's a strong culture of traditional cabin building. Even though you see modern designs, a lot of them still use very traditional principles and a lot of wooden cladding, and wooden roofs and grass roofs and all this kind of thing. And we thought maybe we can challenge that and integrate something that harmonizes with that traditional building culture, but uses modern materials and vinyl-based materials in a sustainable and interesting way, that perhaps we can get rid of those kind of negative images or associations of vinyl being only used in institutions or that type of thing. So that was essentially our starting point. I don't need to read all the text, but it kind of explains that the location of the site is very important to us. As was mentioned, we're in Porsgrunn, which is 2 hours just southeast of Oslo, where Inovyn have a factory. And just outside of Porsgrunn is a beautiful little island called Bjørkøya, Birch Island, which is very popular for people to visit in the summer, and there's quite a lot of cabins there and people rent it, and it's really quite beautiful. And as I think is well known in Scandinavian architectural tradition, is that you can't separate a design from the site or the location, so it has to harmonize with the situation. And that could include both the natural qualities and the sight lines and the atmosphere there, but also the neighboring buildings, or perhaps what was there before. So the circumstances in this case was that Inovyn has the right to use of an old cabin that was there, but that cabin was really quite outdated and not suitable for use, nor was it old enough to be interesting. So the cabin was taken down, and then you're left with a site. But then the planning requires that the new cabin can obviously not be any bigger than that, whereas there's quite ambitious goals for how this new cabin could be used, right? It could be both used for the company in small conference situations or taking clients out, or it could just be rented out to families. And we kind of thought pretty early doors that we can't escape the fact that we have to develop a concept that's based around the products connected to Inovyn. We know that we can try and be as innovative as like, and we were actually quite interested in seeing, okay, how many of these materials that are vinyl based can we apply in a new fashion and use that in a cabin, even starting on a structural basis and looking all the way through to just the skin or the cladding of the building. But we have to keep it realistic, and we know that to have partnerships and have people involved in the project, it should probably be also connected to very specific products out there in the market. And we were able to establish some partners that we had to work with. One of them was Reinder to provide the roofing membrane. We think it was interesting to work with a roofing membrane which is pretty much always used on flat roofs, or not particularly often used in a circumstance where you see it, and then see if we can use that in a way that can articulate the design, the concept of the roof shape, and integrate a standing seam that perhaps gives references to a zinc roof, but at least gives the visitor an idea of, oh, well, this was a material I've not seen used in this way before. And then it kind of goes without saying that any glazing we have, we need to use PVC windows to kind of fit with the concept, and also show people that they're really quite versatile. You know, but people always think that facade systems have to be in aluminium, but there was more versatility in the PVC system than I was expecting. And then there's decking and cladding, where we've chosen this resistor material, which is a rice husk and vinyl compound, which is also more sustainable and very, very strong, surprisingly strong, which means that when the LCA is done on the building, to make it in a comparison of it against a very typical building, the whole reduced maintenance costs and all the chemicals involved in that will hopefully play a role in providing a better result. But essentially, it's a very simple concept with a slightly hipped gable and just a pitched roof on both sides, but try to keep it as low as possible so that it doesn't obstruct any views, and just keep it just quite a refined and elegant silhouette for the building. And what we really wanted to do was create this very thin edge on the eaves of the roof that sticks out, which we thought could be a nice challenge because it's something that this roofing membrane is able to do for us rather than a lot of other types of materials. So I thought I'd just quickly explain the plan. I think a lot of other people in Southern Europe that have been involved in the project maybe can't relate to it in the same way, but we've decided to keep the kind of the living section, or the kitchen and use section, which will perhaps also be the conference side, if you like, as separate as possible from where you sleep and from where you're private. And this isn't uncommon in Scandinavian kind of cabin tradition, that you go outside to go back in again. But we then created these outside niches that could be also protect you from the weather, but allow you to be outside under the roof. And this all has to be within the 100 square meter perimeter. And then obviously the decking on that allows you to walk around the whole building. Essentially what I've said is just exemplified here in a little axonometric. I was also put in a little hallway to connect the two sides of the building. So there's always a sight line out from almost any place that you are, and a large flexible glazed room, which is there because the neighbors aren't very close, and you're just in a very beautiful environment. Here's seen from the other side. You can see the cabin from a distance. Picture was taken, or the collage was made when the picture was taken in kind of early spring, so it does get a lot greener. And the view from the outdoor area. Here you can see some of the intention with the thin edge on the roof and the standing seam put into the roofing membrane to try and accentuate the angles of the roof, and keep the low height, so the ceiling on the inside is the same height as the underside of the eaves on the outside, so that you just constantly have this feeling of the ceiling just disappearing into the horizon, and maximizing the glazing to maximize the views. Here you see the niches, and that the height of the ceiling is defined by the limits of the height of the profiles that can be done in PVC, which was 2.5 meters, which is actually very generous and a nice height to create not something that's too big, but like the right kind of intimacy that you would like for a cabin. Going all the way around, chose to keep all the windows in the same height, so it just feels like they're more like openings rather than windows. And what's been very important to us, not that I'm any specialist in the matter, but part of the project has been to involve as much of Biovine related products. So that's Inovyn's bio-attributed vinyl-based products, which I knew nothing about beforehand, and I still probably don't know very much about it. But it seems like a fascinating product, and and everything is going in the right direction by replacing fossil-based resources with bio-attributed resources. So that ethylene, right, which comes from the forestry industry. Yeah, tall oil, that's it. Yeah. So we've been trying to work with the products that use Biovine first and foremost when we can. and impressive statistics on how much the carbon footprint is reduced, or perhaps even negative in the case of depending on the energy sources. Just to take us inside the project, we've been looking a lot with the possibilities or what you're able to do with Tarkett and Boulogne. They have products here, and we like the fact that they try to be very innovative and are very conscious of the image of PVC and the aesthetics. And we also wanted to kind of follow that path. And I've learned that they were part of the or kind of a very important partner in the development of Biovin, and help create the incentives to get that going. And so, I mean, you're talking about very simple things you can do, but the things we've tried to do are strategies to try and make people feel that they're still going into a cabin that has a warmth and that has the right kind of atmosphere that you'd expect from a cabin, that it doesn't feel clinical, that it doesn't have those associations that you might often have with vinyl. And make use of some of the possibilities that do lie in using PVC. So this is just a floor plan showing that we have these vinyl-based decking boards on the outside, and then using two different types of vinyl on the inside, both of which, one is already using Biovin, the IQ Natural, and the other one is, I think, committed to using it, if not already using it. And then trying to create kind of zoning, and in the same way that you perhaps make a border in a house traditionally with your parquet, you can use welds in vinyl flooring to make it interesting, or to make divisions, or to have some kind of color harmony. And so we've, based upon the palette we've developed, we've found these brown and red tones, and then going for a kind of a contrasting red weld between them. That can be used to perhaps accentuate details in the building, or can be used to essentially make zones, or to help you with your how to furnish. What we've also done is probably quite unconventional, given it's strictly not meant for walls. It's a flooring product, but we'd very much like to take Boulogne as just a textile when it's on a roll, and apply it to the walls, as we think it's got a softness that could be very interesting to use in the bedrooms, where there's a different type of light, and there's a different type of atmosphere that's more closed. That's shown here. We've also thought it'd be nice to use the fact that if it's textile-like, that you can soften the corners and the light will kind of hit it softly, and it's obviously something you're able to do with something that's woven. So all the windows are placed into a wall, with the other recess being kind of rounded off, so that there's no hard edges where the light hits, and the light can be draped along the wall instead. For the bathroom, we've gone for, let's say, just a bold concept, where every surface is covered in vinyl and everything's welded together, and that includes all the fixed storage, as well as the walls, to try and essentially just show the kind of the powerfulness of an interesting pattern in vinyl, when you can go into a room that's completely covered in it. It might not be to everyone's taste, but this isn't the bathroom that you're going to be using every day. It's just to make a strong impression, which we think it could be interesting. We also found this really quite beautiful pattern that they have in the Megalith series, which is kind of quartz, or has stone references. It works very well with the situation it's in, when there's lots of bare rock in the surrounding areas, and that we decided to cover all of the kitchen cabinets and the backsplash with this, and essentially a bit like you do in the bathroom, just show the versatility of the product by making it everywhere. and everything becomes kind of more solid, and as well as it being very practical. And then, yeah, making a large, generous kitchen space with lots of integrated storage, trying to make a plan that's flexible. And then there's also the extra layer of, okay, what other vinyl products can we have in here? There'll be a need to have some curtains to soften it in the evenings, or to maybe block the light out if the sun's too low. And then there's also rugs that we could have from Popolino or from Boulogne that could just add to that impression, that to show people that, yeah, there's more that can be done with this material than what you're used to, essentially. And then there's the loose items. There's lots of ways to furnish this project, and I think that's key for Inovyn, to be able to have that kind of flexibility. But what we'd really like to do is make sure there's lots of integrated storage that includes under the beds and any kind of covers that are done, that they're also covered in a vinyl that harmonizes with the floor, and to make people realize that you can just treat it as a skin or as a surface, but it's a very practical surface to apply to almost anything. We've not gotten so far as it's being built yet, but the foundations are underway. So I think there'll be a lot more to show if I'm able to have this presentation in 6 months' time. But that's about it. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Yeah, it should be a keynote speech at the UIA conference, but the next time. Thank you very much. Were there any problems with the local municipality or regions or NGO protests, anything like that?
Surprisingly not. No, they're. I mean, the building culture has become so relaxed that if you're able to show something that's, as long as it's not too big, if it's innovative, people respond actually quite positively. So yeah, I think actually it looks like it's going to go down well.
Thank you. Yeah, other questions?
If I were to enter a building that is covered in vinyl on the inside, am I to expect some kind of odor?
Well,
and will that odor last long term? I mean, I'm just thinking, if I go into a cabin, for example, you smell the wood.
Yeah.
The vinyl, will there be an odor, and is that something that will go away with time, or how would that go?
Someone else,
Do you want to answer that? We have
If there are any odor, it's very, very harmless. So, but
not really. I don't think so. No,
because you know how you sometimes have this blue house smell.
no, yeah, exactly. But it's the same like with the car.
yeah, it's a new, like it's because that's lots of vinyl, right?
Car, you have the vinyl on the seats today.
Yeah.
So the level of emissions of the odor is key to absolutely new. If you don't smell vinyl, okay, it's the same basically.
Or at least it disappears over time. Yeah.
and I guess also the pipes and
Yeah. So
underneath the house.
everything concealed that you don't see will also be vinyl. PVC. So yeah. The hard stuff. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. And yeah, what's next, Rasmus? Something tomorrow? Fire safety. Very interesting.
That's PVC.
Oh.
And urethane. Discussions on modern insulation and fire safety. This evening there's a student award with Prosecco and white wine. I think it's 6:30. And I'll point towards the program in the other canteen.
Tonight, yeah, then there's dinner musical tomorrow at 9 o'clock. Regarding the circular design.
Yeah. And then a lunch debate on how to measure circularity and sustainability with Deloitte from Brussels. who are heading into our transition.
Thanks.
I think we might find a glass of wine.
Nice.
Very good.